General Electric 6-inch. Nothing further specified. It's weird to see a fan like this with that logo on the front. Usually that appears on stuff that was actually very good quality and made of iron and brass materials. It is the General Electric PF-6 fan, made in Taiwan. There's no date code that I can see on here, but I would put this back to probably the 80s. The non-polarized plug. There is a warning about the safety. It says, caution, to prevent injury, do not operate without grill in place. I've been told that this is more powerful than usual. It looks like a fairly run-of-the-mill fan, and I've seen something similar to this motor design before. I can't recall exactly what it was. I wonder what the OEM of this was. It might be old enough that it was actually made by General Electric still. It is heavier than usual. I imagine all that weight's got to be coming through the motor. Oh yeah, that is a bigger motor than usual. That's a decent sized motor. I'm surprised it's only 0.4 amps. Unfortunately, it does look like somebody put something inside while it was running and ignored the warning, or perhaps voided the warning by stuffing something through the grill. You can see the infamous scratching on the blades from hitting something during operation, but other than that, it's in pretty good condition. The guard is really nice still. It's still pretty shiny, only a couple minor rust spots. This is the only 6-inch desk fan I've seen like this with the wood grain base. This will look great next to that X-Acto pencil sharpener with the white case and wood grain front. And this apparently does not want to cooperate here. This is already extremely tight. I don't really want to put it any tighter than that. Alright, let's go ahead and power this on. I suspect it probably had rubber feet on the bottom at one point, and that's why it's now just sliding around on the table uncontrollably. According to this meter, we have 120 volts right on the nose. We'll go over to the amps, and we'll begin on the low. Wow, that is very hard to turn. I wonder if that's an actual knob or if there's like a stupid 2-speed switch under there. Let's see. No, it appears to be an actual knob. Are the bearings locked up on this? They are. Okay, I'm gonna say it seems like it's running very slowly, and that would be why. Alright, so we're gonna have to do a service on these bearings. Doesn't seem particularly out of balance, but it is shaking around a bit. It doesn't feel bad at all, actually. Well, it's not moving much air right now, but it's also not going very fast. That is 0.25 to amps, 17.7 to watts, a power factor of 0.57. It still amazes me that fans like this are able to be sold with these C-frame shaded pole motors. These things are just so horrifically inefficient compared to a PSC motor, and I really don't think it costs all that much more to make a PSC motor than a shaded pole. Capacitors are not that expensive, especially when you're buying them in the bulk that a manufacturer would buy them in. And this is really hardly moving in the air. Let's see if it gets going on high. Oh, that is very quiet. Okay, now I think it's starting to spin up to full speed. That's 0.35 amps, 23.8 watts. The power factor is 0.56. That power factor is worse than usual for a shaded pole. So this is pulling 0.34 amps. That's about the same as a 12-inch fan with a PSC motor, which would move more air and be quieter. Although this is pretty quiet. Windmere. This is reminding me of a windmere fan. The way the guard is and so forth. Yeah, that is quite strong. And the balance is... it's slightly out, but it's within a reasonable margin of error. Yeah, that is strong. I can feel this, even with the pellet stove and the ceiling fan moving air around. I can still feel the airstream. It's 3 meters away from the fan. That's impressive. I was not expecting that. That is very strong. I can't really get a good handle on the noise because of all the background noise in here, which I'm filming in here because the studio is a disaster right now. But it's definitely not unreasonably loud. It kind of sounds similar to the way these usually sound. It definitely is moving significantly more air. Now that the motor's warmed up, let's see if we can get something on low. Yeah, that seems about right now. That's 0.24 amps, 17.1 watts. Power factor 0.58. This is almost more like the high on what these usually are. And that's pretty quiet. Still feel the air a good distance away. Not bad. Perhaps the bearings were just a little bit stiff because it's cold downstairs. Go back to high. Off. Yeah, it's still pretty stiff. We'll have to relubricate. I believe this was already serviced by the letter H. But I have found sometimes when the bearings get to a point where they get gummed up, if you don't run it regularly, it'll just keep gumming up over and over again. It's really a pain in the neck. And that's probably what's happening here. So we'll go through, we'll polish the shaft to see if that makes it any better. We'll clean the bearings out again and hope for the best. But this is a nice fan. It appears to be made of 2 different types of plastics though. You see the base is starting to yellow, but then all the guard and the motor housing is fine. This is definitely one of the nicest looking fans of this form factor I've ever seen. These usually have a very cheap and cheesy, all plasticky junk appearance to them, but this one actually looks like a nice quality, decent looking product, which is not common for this form factor.